Hey everyone!
Alex here.
Today I want to have a real, honest conversation with you. Not about my wins, and not about how I did everything right. Quite the opposite. I'm going to share 3 major financial mistakes I made before the age of 25. These were mistakes that cost me money, nerves, and time. Why am I doing this?
Because I believe it's always better to learn from someone else's failures.
If my screw-ups help you avoid the same traps, then this video has already paid for itself. Stick around until the end, because I'll explain exactly how I fixed each of these mistakes. It'll be worth your time. Let's dive in. Mistake number 1, the just-in-case credit card.
Let's start with the most deceptive one.
When I got my first credit card, I thought, this is so convenient. I thought it was just for emergencies. I didn't plan on using it constantly. It was supposed to be for a rainy day. But you know what happened? That rainy day never actually came. Instead, I got hit with a bunch of gray days. I grabbed a coffee because I was too lazy to brew it at home. I bought new sneakers because they were on sale. I went out for drinks with the guys after work because I was tired. Every purchase felt insignificant. I'll just pay it off at the end of the month, I told myself. But sometimes I didn't.
Or I'd only pay the minimum balance.
6 months later, I opened my statement and was stunned. I had a $3,000 balance. The interest was 22% APR. I was literally paying the bank just for the privilege of spending money I didn't have. What I learned: a credit card isn't extra income. It's a high-interest loan.
If you get a card, set a limit you can actually pay off every single month.
Autopay for the full balance is your best friend.
How to avoid it.
Before you swipe, ask yourself, could I afford this in cash right now? If the answer is no, you probably shouldn't be buying it. Mistake number 2, investing in hype without research. The next mistake was more glamorous, but just as painful.
This was during the time when everyone was talking about crypto, meme stocks, and guaranteed 10x returns in a week. I saw friends posting screenshots of plus 200% gains in a month. I thought, why am I missing out?
Without understanding blockchain or doing any fundamental analysis, I dumped a chunk of my savings into a promising token.
I did it just because people were buzzing about it on social media.
Take a guess what happened next. 3 weeks later, the asset crashed by 70%. I tried to hodl and wait for a bounce. But I ended up selling at a massive loss because I needed that money for rent. What I learned: if you can't explain how an asset works, don't put money into it that you aren't prepared to lose. Hype is a terrible investment advisor. Diversification isn't just a textbook term, it's your shield. How to avoid it? Before any investment, ask yourself 3 questions. What is this asset, and how does it actually create value? What are the risks? What will I do if the price drops by 50% tomorrow? If you can't answer these clearly, walk away. Do your homework first. Investing is a marathon, not a sprint. Mistake number 3 is ignoring the emergency fund. Now for the story that taught me the most important lesson of all.
For a long time, I thought, why save for a rainy day when I can invest that money? I put every spare cent into stocks, funds, and courses.
I was proud of it. But then the laptop I used for work and school just died. The repair bill was $800 and I needed it fixed immediately. I didn't have that cash on hand. Everything was tied up in investments.
To avoid selling my stocks at a loss, I had to borrow money from friends.
It was awkward and stressful. That's when it clicked. Financial freedom isn't just about growing your net worth.
It's about peace of mind. And that peace comes from an emergency fund.
What I learned, an emergency fund isn't dead money.
It's your financial shock absorber.
Having 3 to 6 months of basic expenses isn't a luxury, it's a necessity.
Keep this money in a separate account with quick access. Don't mix it with your daily spending.
How to avoid it?
Start small. Even $10 to $20 a week put into a separate account will grow to $500 to $1,000 in a year.
That's already enough to protect you from life's smaller surprises.
Now for the good part. Mistakes aren't a life sentence. They're lessons. On credit cards. I made a repayment plan. I focused on the debt with the highest interest rate first. I unlinked my cards from online stores to stop impulse buys. I set up autopay for the full statement balance. On investing, I went back to basics. I started with index funds that track the whole market. I created a small learning budget that I'm okay with losing. I made a rule, at least 3 hours of research before any new investment. On the emergency fund, I opened a high-yield savings account named Do Not Touch. I set up an automatic transfer of 10% of my income. I stopped seeing this money as frozen. It's my insurance and my freedom to choose rather than react. Guys, I'm sharing this so you know that the path to financial literacy isn't a straight line. There are zigzags, falls, and lessons. If you recognize yourself in any of these stories, don't feel ashamed. Use it as fuel to take a step forward today. Here is your small task for this week. Pick one area, credit, investing, or your emergency fund, and take one concrete action. Check your credit card balance, read about index funds, or transfer $10 to savings. Don't wait for the perfect moment. It doesn't exist. Start small, and you're already ahead of the version of yourself from yesterday.
If this video is helpful, hit that like button.
Subscribe for more honest talk about money. Let me know in the comments which of these mistakes hit home the most. Let's support each other because we're stronger together. Remember, your financial journey is yours alone. Don't compare your Chapter 3 to someone else's Chapter 20. Move at your own pace and keep learning. See you in the next video. I'm here to help you get richer in your wallet and in your confidence.
Take care.